On this Tuesday night, batter up. The Toronto Blue Jays are headed to the World Series.
I don't know how to describe it. This is awesome.
The jubilation, the optimism, and how much you'll have to shell out for a ticket. Unplugged, GM's electric van production in Ontario hits the end of the road.
We're going to hold them accountable.
Backlogs and bad advice, the Auditor General's scathing indictment of CRA call centers.
I can appreciate the frustration.
How the government plans to improve it. Plus military money, the ambitious new plan to beef up defense spending. And the U.S. president is demolishing part of the White House.
It'll be the finest.
What he's building and who's paying for it.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. It was a come-from-behind win which made last night's victory against the Seattle Mariners all the more dramatic. Canadians across the country are riding the Blue Jays bandwagon and cheering on George Springer, who hit a dinger in the seventh, a 3-run homer that turned the tide and won the game. As Eric Sorensen reports, there's more excitement on the way because this team intends to go all the way.
A fairy tale season was on the line. Seattle never been to the World Series. Toronto not since 1993. The Blue Jays trailed most of the game, every out, deepening the fear of an unhappy ending. And then Cinderella stepped to the plate. The announcer wasn't sure. George Springer wasn't sure. No one dared think it. Suddenly, the Blue Jays were on top. The players like kids on Christmas morning. A euphoric moment stamped into the consciousness of a city and a nation.
I love this team. Again, I love the city, these fans. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. This is awesome.
There's a camaraderie about this team, from the stars to the rookies like Treya Savage.
Every single one of them took me under their wing. They're all role models to me.
That's probably a role model pouring the beer on his head.
All of them, they're awesome guys.
It is a storybook playoff for the Blue Jays. First, they slayed the vaunted New York Yankees. Then the equally iconic Los Angeles Dodgers powered their way to the National League title. Toronto then beat Seattle for the American League pennant. And now the underdog Blue Jays confront the famed and formidable Dodgers in the World Series.
The Dodgers' Shohei Ohtani is the biggest name in the sport. He set new records for hitting home runs and pitching in the same game last Friday. Odds makers have made LA the heavy favorites, though north of the border, they don't mind the Jays being underestimated.
The Jays, they got all the weapons, they got the heart, they got what it takes to win a World Series, and there's no reason they can't get that done here.
The series also sets up a cross-border matchup, the Jays manager abstaining on overtones of Canada versus the U.S.
I know it'll be the Blue Jays versus the Dodgers. That's kind of how we're going to look at it, knowing that we have a whole country behind us.
And the whole country will be watching. Shohei Ohtani is coming, and Toronto's own global icon Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is waiting.
Good, it's gonna be crazy Friday. I can't wait till Friday.
Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
A little later, we'll look at how Blue Jays fans are riding the high of last night's win. Canada's defense minister has laid out plans to increase defense spending. The prime minister has promised to seriously ramp it up to reduce reliance on the U.S. and to meet NATO's 2% spending target, something no previous government, Liberal or Conservative, has managed to do. And as David Aiken explains, part of the promise is to buy Canadian.
Canada is serious about rearming, reinvesting, rebooting its armed forces after, frankly, I think it's fair to say, governments of all stripes for the last 30 or 40 years have been a little bit, maybe even neglectful.
Indeed, Canada has not spent 2% of GDP on defense since 1990. In 2014, NATO allies, including Canada, all committed to spending at least 2% on defense. But only now, more than a decade later, is Canada poised to fulfill that commitment. But that will not be enough. NATO allies, again including Canada, agreed earlier this year that by 2035 they will all spend at least 3.5% of GDP on defense. And the Carney government wants as much of this new spending as possible to go to Canadian firms.
All of this will allow for Canada to dig down and to build a defense industrial base which is ready for takeoff and for growth.
Canada is about to spend more than $20 billion to buy 8 new submarines from either a Korean shipyard or one that is a German-Norwegian partnership. And the amount of work those shipyards can give to Canadians will be an important factor in the government's choice. Defense ministers from Germany and Norway made their pitch to McGuinty this week.
Canada could benefit from joining our submarine cooperation, and the benefits are obvious.
Prime Minister Mark Carney will tour the Korean shipyard in the running next week. He's already toured the German one, with an expectation he and his cabinet will pick a winner early in the new year. Donna.
David Aiken in Ottawa. Thanks, David. Canada's Auditor General had a grim assessment today of how Canada's military is doing right now. She says it has not recruited enough soldiers and is failing to properly manage housing. Thousands of people have applied to join the Canadian Armed Forces, but an audit found only 1 out of 13 applicants were successfully recruited. During the audit period, the military fell short of its recruitment target by about 4,700 recruits. The Auditor General's report was also blunt about the failings of the Canada Revenue Agency call centre. Jillian Piper explains.
Thank you for calling the Canada Revenue Agency's.
It's a hold message Canadians are hearing more than ever before.
Your estimated wait time is less than 15 minutes.
A new report from the Auditor General finds that standard isn't being met, showing callers are waiting on average 31 minutes to reach the Canadian Revenue Agency, twice as long as last year.
It really puts into question whether or not our system is fair, accessible, efficient, right? I think that's a big concern.
In June, less than 5% of calls made it through the service standard, and even when Canadians eventually reach an agent, they are unlikely to receive the right information.
We found that agents' responses to individual tax questions were accurate only 17% of the time.
Accuracy improved slightly for business inquiries to 54%, but if a taxpayer uses incorrect guidance when filing a claim, they are responsible for any potential penalties.
It creates a lot of inefficiency, I think, for the taxpayer, and a lot of risk as well. That's not a very fair outcome.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre calling on the Liberals to make the CRA more efficient.
Answer: why does this government force Canadians to pay so much for such terrible service?
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons from these Conservatives. Trust me on that, Mr. Speaker.
The government does admit that it is very clear the CRA service levels are not where they should be, and is pointing to its 100-day service improvement plan, seeking to add more agents and integrate new technologies as a solution.
We have 48 days left in that plan. We are making progress, and I'm pleased with where we are. That being said, we've got a long ways to go.
Canadians may get more details into how much money Ottawa is willing to spend on improvements in the federal budget next month. Donna?
All right, Jillian Piper, thank you. Canada's auto sector suffered another blow today. General Motors is ending production of electric delivery vans at its plant in Ingersoll, Ontario, because it says demand for them is low.
Well, first of all, very disappointed, but really it comes down to, I guess these vehicles aren't selling. They have 4,000 sitting on the lot right now. Now we have 350 people that are going to be laid off, not mentioning the other, I think 700 or 800 that are already laid off. We're going to hold them accountable.
The U.S. president has made it clear he doesn't want made-in-Canada vehicles, and automotive companies are getting the message. Mackenzie Gray reports on the decision and the fallout.
It was a $1 billion bet.
We're opening the first full-scale commercial electric vehicle plant in Canada.
But less than 3 years on from Justin Trudeau and Doug Ford's commitment to electric vehicles, GM has pulled the plug. The Cami Ingersoll plant in southwestern Ontario ending production of the BrightDrop electric van after the company said they hadn't seen the needed demand, leaving over 1,100 workers laid off.
We're bleeding jobs, we're bleeding investment. The auto industry is under severe attack at the moment.
The company has assured the workers they're looking to find another car for the plant, but if they don't follow through, Ontario's premier says they'll hear from lawyers.
If they breach a contract, we're going to sue them. Simple as that. And he knows that. They've breached a contract, and we're going to make sure that we get another vehicle in that area.
Lawsuits also an option with Stellantis, who moved production of the Jeep Compass from Brampton to Illinois last week.
Stellantis had an obligation to bring back the production to the Brampton plant, and they failed that obligation. And so that's why we're putting maximum pressure on the company.
While the federal government and Ontario may fight the automakers in court, without a tariff resolution, more plants are likely to slash shifts and production or close altogether.
All these companies are facing this unprecedented tariff challenge from the White House. And until that gets settled, no one is going to put new investment here.
The exact goal of U.S. President Donald Trump, who has repeatedly said he wants no cars made in Canada.
If we wait it out and think, well, if we can just get through to 2029 when there's a new administration and maybe things will be different, we may not have anything left to save.
Ingersoll used to make the popular GM Equinox, but instead of returning that to Canada, Donna, GM has announced they're adding additional production in Kansas.
All right, Mackenzie Gray, thank you. There's no relief for Canadians in the latest inflation figures. Stats Canada data shows inflation rose to 2.4% in September, higher than what many economists were expecting. The price of some things has fallen, but the cost of food and shelter continues to rise. Heidi Petrachik breaks down the numbers and the impact on consumers.
Retiree Janet White's household budget feels the pinch every time she shops for groceries. A senior on a fixed income, caring for a husband with a physical disability, White's not surprised to hear inflation is up again.
There's no luxuries anymore. By the time you pay your gas and buy your food and pay your rent, which is out of this world.
According to Statistics Canada, annual inflation reached 2.4% last month, with two of the biggest contributors outpacing that rate. Food prices increased 4% in September compared to the same month last year and saw a higher increase than in August as well. Fresh and frozen beef, fresh vegetables and sugar in particular driving up costs.
I eat less meat, I'm sure, than I used to, because meat's expensive.
What we have to be prepared for is a heightened period of volatility across the food sector writ large, and that's going to persist.
Then there's rents, which spiked 4.8% year over year and increased more than the previous month as well.
Right now I have a 43-year-old son that's doing tiny living, so he can afford a mortgage.
And so they're very vulnerable then, or their food security is very vulnerable to changes in food prices because they're maxed out in terms of paying for housing.
Inflation, just one of the factors the Bank of Canada considers when making decisions on the cost of borrowing.
It's going to be a challenging decision for the bank. It's going to be looking at the labor numbers. It's going to be looking at the inflation numbers. I think it's quite likely we might see a hold given inflation on the uptick again.
In the meantime, volunteer organizations are trying to keep up.
Red?
Demand for these food hampers doubling since spring.
They never thought they'd see this day where they wouldn't have enough money to live on, just because their rents have gone so high.
A reality for Canadians faced with choices to make. Heidi Petrachik, Global News, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia.
It was on, and now it's off. Coming up, why a second meeting between the American and Russian presidents has been shelved. U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for a second meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin has fizzled out. The White House says the planned meeting in Budapest, announced by Trump after his long phone call with Putin last week, is no longer in the works. It was scrapped after a phone call between the U.S. Secretary of State and Russia's foreign minister. There are reports Putin is sticking to his hard line that Russia take control of Ukraine's Donbass region. Trump has said front lines should be frozen where they are. Ukraine's president and other European leaders are accusing Russia of stalling peace efforts. The U.S. vice president is in Israel, and J.D. Vance says he believes the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is going better than expected.
What we've seen the past week gives me great optimism the ceasefire is going to hold. Can I say with 100% certainty that it's going to work? No. But you don't do difficult things by only doing what's 100% certain. You do difficult things by trying, and that's what the President of the United States has asked us to do.
Vance warned if Hamas doesn't cooperate, it will, he says, be obliterated. The peace agreement has been marred by violence on both sides. Israel said a Hamas attack killed 2 soldiers, triggering Israeli airstrikes, which killed dozens of Palestinians. Supporters of former French President Nicolas Sarkozy cheered him on as he walked with his wife to begin a 5-year prison sentence. Sarkozy, the first former leader of modern France to go to jail, was convicted of a criminal conspiracy to finance his 2007 election campaign with funds from Libya. Sarkozy's lawyers are appealing and have filed a request for early release. Ballroom blitz ahead, the political firestorm over Trump's $250 million renovation at the White House. A rare and sudden tornado tore through the northern suburbs of Paris, France last night. Authorities say a 23-year-old construction worker was killed on a job site. 4 other people were critically injured. The twister toppled a number of construction cranes, damaged properties, and uprooted trees. The American president is trying to reshape America and is making some major changes to the White House, too. Demolition work is underway on part of the building to make way for a huge new ballroom. Former First Lady Hillary Clinton posted, "It's not his house, it's your house, and he's destroying it." The White House calls it a bold and necessary addition and says that it's only unhinged leftists and their fake news allies that are clutching their pearls. Jackson Prosco reports.
It's the single biggest change to the White House since President Theodore Roosevelt built the West Wing. Bulldozers and jackhammers are tearing down parts of the East Wing to make way for President Donald Trump's grand ballroom.
You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound.
The $250 million project will be able to host more than 900 guests. At 8,300 square meters, it will more than double the size of the entire White House complex. All of it, Trump claims, will be privately funded. Potential donors were recently invited to dine with the president.
You've given tremendous amounts of money to see a ballroom built for the first time at the White House.
Though Trump is technically just a tenant, he has transformed the executive mansion, turning the Oval Office into a gilded monument. This is what it looked like during his first term. He also paved over the Rose Garden and erected 2 giant flagpoles on the grounds.
I never heard of any president changing the house like this fella here is doing. Never heard of it.
It's not taxpayer money, so what's the problem?
Other presidents have made their mark on the White House. Ford built an outdoor pool. Nixon added a bowling lane. Obama brought in a basketball court. None has gone as far as Trump, whose push to reshape the country includes reshaping the White House in ways that will last long beyond his time in office. Even as the president promotes the ballroom, it's clear the White House is concerned about the optics. The Wall Street Journal reports that government workers in nearby buildings have been ordered not to take or share any photos of the construction without prior approval. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Fired up next, how Blue Jays fans are celebrating their team's biggest win in decades.
The second award, the silver medal, goes to Kevin Chen, Canada. From Canada.
Canadian Kevin Chen came so close to gold at the Frédéric Chopin piano competition in Poland. 84 pianists competed, and the 20-year-old from Calgary was one of 11 finalists. Along with his silver medal, Chen wins about $65,000. The competition in Toronto is now moving to another level. Delirious Blue Jays fans packed the streets to celebrate last night's historic win. A lot of Blue Jays fan base wasn't even alive the last time their team was in the World Series 3 decades ago. Nicole DiDonato has the reaction from fans and some details on how much you'll have to pay if you want a ticket to the World Series.
From outside the Rogers Centre to Yonge and Dundas, a sea of blue in downtown Toronto as fans took to the streets Monday night to celebrate the Blue Jays' first World Series berth in 32 years.
World Series, baby! Let's go! Bring your dinger!
The celebrations continuing Tuesday with fans lining up to access the Jays shop over the lunch hour to get the latest merch.
One for me, one for my cousin. Then this is for one of my friends. I'm doing a lot of orders. People are texting me and everything right now.
This is the Jays' first trip to the Fall Classic since 1993, the last time Toronto won the World Series. Some fans have been waiting for this their entire lives.
My first World Series that I'm live for, so it's incredible moment.
Go Jays, go! Others are ready to relive it.
And I was right downtown. Now we're gonna do it again.
My dad had tickets to Game 7 in '93. His buddies were at the Game 6.
I went to so many games with my dad.
Tickets to the World Series, including games 1, 2, 6, and 7 at the Rogers Center, went on sale Tuesday morning, but sold out instantly. One lucky fan was able to secure some for around $600 in the 500s.
We were here last night and it was amazing atmosphere, so honestly we were willing to kind of pay anything to be there.
Those who weren't so lucky now turning to resale sites like StubHub, where tickets are selling for between $2,000 and almost $50,000.
The sports apparel is the most my budget can afford.
I'd rather buy a hat and then enjoy the game with some friends at the bar.
The Jays say they're thankful for the fans who have helped them get to this point.
I can't thank them enough. This is awesome. This is why we play the game.
Getting to do this for an entire country is unbelievable. We feel it every single night.
Nicole DiDonato, Global News, Toronto.
That is Global National for this Tuesday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Air Canada showcases Port Hope, Ontario, Veterans Memorial Park in Fredericton, and Whistler, BC. Please keep them coming. Send your pictures of Canadian pride to Global National at globalnews.ca, and hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.